Report, Bryant edition here once again with head coach Phil Martelli Jr. Appreciate the time. Here we are, 8-7, going into the next phase of the season, conference play. Just looking back before we go to, obviously the start of America East play, looking at the non-conference, some lessons you guys have learned, obviously battle tested, a couple top 25 matchups, I believe 4 or 5 high major teams. Just what did you learn from your team during those games in the non-conference?
Well, we talked about it from the very beginning that each one of those games, each one of those experiences, we had to take something from, we had to learn something from and grow. And I think for the most part we did that, whether it was going to tough environments, like you just said, like Rutgers, FAU, Cincinnati, Xavier, Mississippi, even Stony Brook was a tough environment. Going to all these different places, Brown, playing those types of games, playing games against teams that are going to compete for their league championship, like Towson and Drexel and Boston U and Brown, and going down the line. So, I was really pleased with the steps that we took, and again, like it wasn't all sunshine and roses like where you are. It was we hit bumps along the way. Like we hit some bumps and we dealt with different adversity along the way, which is good. And I told them after some of those games, like if for example Stony Brook, like losing that game and the way we lost it, like if that helps us in January, February, and March, then I'll take that loss to go get one of these ones coming up and being able to learn and grow from that. And for the most part, I thought we did.
Definitely. And, you look at a couple, you go from, I always like to look going into the season, what you're expecting, especially out of guys, and then where you are here entering, like I said, conference play. Obviously Earl Timberlake, Gross Bullock, as they should, kind of getting those preseason awards, another year that they're together. Again, last year was their first year. What has impressed you? I want to start just with Earl Timberlake. He is a guy, I think it was the second triple-double in program history recently. What he's able to do, and he's also shooting the ball at a very high clip, I believe over 60% from the field. Just his decision-making on the offensive end, and then his ability to kind of guard 1 through 5 for you guys.
Yeah, it really started with that. It started with the having that option to put him anywhere. So he guarded Vlad Golden, 7-footer at FAU. He guarded Keno Lilly, 5'7", dynamic guard at Brown. And he guarded everybody in between. And he will continue to do that. But that was something early on, and really. What we really haven't talked about is the loss of Kayvon Kramer right before the season to an ACL. That really kind of startled us early in the year because he was playing at a really, really high level. He looked like an all-league player. I think everybody in our gym would tell you he looked like an all-league player through the fall. So to lose him about a week, or so before the season really set us back. So that made us have to reevaluate a little bit in terms of front court depth, and we didn't have much to begin with, and now we lose him. So one of the things that I talked to Earl about was just being ready to guard anybody and everybody, because in some cases he's our best perimeter defender and he's our best post defender. And he was just locked into that. And his offense was a little bit down to start because of that, but I knew once he got more comfortable, and then we kind of readjusted to getting him involved more as a facilitator, because that's where he's at his best. And I knew once he locked into that, all those other numbers would go. They'd all rise because he'd take better shots. His assist numbers would be way up. His turnovers are down. We're able to move him around. Teams are trying to figure out how to guard him, with a bigger guy, smaller guy, so. And he just has such a high IQ, and he has such a respect for playing the game of basketball the right way that it permeates through the team, and really the biggest thing I've asked him is to use his voice more, to use his leadership more, because there's not a person in this program that doesn't respect the hell out of Earl Timberlake, and I'm at the top of that list. So, he's been able to do all those things. And I think just the comfort of being in a place for 2 years, like he's finally at a place for a second year. So all the little things, knowing where the cafeteria is, knowing, all the kind of being more consistent with like, hey, here's my schedule, here's what I'm doing, here's my workouts, here's this, here's that. I think has really helped him become more of a comfortable player, and you see it in his numbers.
Definitely. And, you know, speaking to numbers, you look again, Gross Bullock, obviously still putting up, points. He is, kind of your go-to guy on the offensive end. His not just his growth, but even the guys around him. Again, you play it's a shorter rotation, but you guys, I feel like at this point, you want to be in a position where people know their roles and they're settling into that. How do you feel that is? Where do you feel that is at this point, in terms of guys being, responsible for what they're supposed to do, but also comfortable in that position?
Well, I think that's, we've taken major steps with that, and I'm pretty pleased with where we are with that. The other piece to it is it's those other guys being comfortable with someone else's role, right? It's knowing like, okay, this guy is going to come in and be able to score the ball for us. Okay, this guy's going to be able to come in and do this. This guy's in there and he can do that. And pumping each other up, and pumping each other up of like, all right, like I got to get that guy a shot because I know he can really shoot it, and like a guy like Connor Withers, like we're all constantly telling him like shoot the ball. Like, Sharif came to me the other day about running a certain play, and he's like, why don't we put it and put Connor in there and run it for him? I'm like, yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? And so having that comfort level and that trust and that connection amongst each other, that's been our biggest growth. It hasn't been offense, it hasn't been defense, it's been our connection, and that's just normal, right? Like you're throwing in, we're playing, eight guys really, and three of those guys are brand new. We're not here, and they're playing major roles. So, and they're coming with an expectation, right? Like, they're coming from places where they played a lot and were able to do certain things and want to be able to do certain things. So it's that give and take of like, hey, this is what we have. At any given time, we have five really good offensive players on the floor. There's never a time we don't have really good offensive players on the floor. So it's that trust of like, all right, I know I can give the ball up because I'll get it back. And I know I can give it up here because I trust that guy can make that shot. And I've seen that grow day in and day out, and we still have growing to do with it. But as long as that continues, we should be pretty formidable.
Absolutely. And as we discussed, here we are, conference play. You got UMBC. Don't know what you've seen on the tape in terms of what you guys need to be prepared for. You've had a little bit of time off. Obviously, conference play brings, you've played in tough environments, absolutely, but conference play obviously brings, a different level of intensity. Every play in every game matters. But again, elevated when we come to conference play. Where do you feel like, you guys need to be successful when you look at UMBC? And then if you can talk about, I don't know how much you can kind of divulge, but in terms of just kind of the health overall, I know Latimer was out, but the health overall entering America East play.
Yeah, health wise, knock on wood right now, we're good. Everybody's clear, everybody's good to go. So, we held Miles out a little bit longer, just out of precautionary, but he's back. He's been practicing full go. So, it looks like we're good in that respect. In terms of league play, in terms of UMBC, I mean, obviously, I said it to the media the other day, like there's certain waves of, that those energy boosts that come during the season, and obviously starting league play is one of them. And you start to look around and go, okay, we're not doing a 12-hour travel day to get to Mississippi to play a game. We're not bouncing around here or there. We're not seeing teams with multiple 7-footers. We're going to see teams that look like us that play, different styles for sure. But, it's a lot of 2, 3, 4 hour bus trips and, play game. And you get in the rhythm of Thursday, Saturday, which obviously in non-conference play, you're playing, we played 3 and 5 days. We played, we were doing all those things. So, um, it's good to get in that rhythm and kind of know like, hey, and we talked about the other day, like, this is what our schedule is going to look like. This is what Sundays are going to look like. Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, we're going to play Thursday. This is what Friday will look like. We're going to play Saturday, and then the week's going to start over, and we'll do that for, I guess it's about 9 weeks. But with UMBC, they are dynamic offensively. They're one of those teams, they can get hot at any time. They've done it. They started the Iowa game up like 12-3 and made their first 4 threes. They were down. They were up huge to start, not huge, but they were up big to start against American. Then they went down really big, and then scored like 42 points in the last 12 minutes of that game to have a chance to win it. So they can get hot at any time. We don't want it to turn into a shootout. We need to impose our will on the defensive end, and kind of get back. We were obviously been really good defensively. I think these last couple games we've kind of dipped a little bit as our offense has gotten better. So the challenge is as our offense continues to get better, we have to make sure our defense stays in the elite level. And that's what we're looking for. And this is a good test of that right off the bat of a team that, they're going to come out and they got shooters everywhere and they have very little conscience. They're very, very confident shooters. They put them up and they'll get them up, and they also have some size that they can, throw it into and try to get some layups off of that. So, we'll have to bring our defense and be ready to guard.
Definitely. Well, listen, Coach, appreciate the time as always. Looking forward to, the opener again at UMBC. And then next week, you guys will return home for the home opener of conference play against Binghamton. So appreciate it. We'll be in touch, and best of luck this weekend.
Thanks, man. I always appreciate you.